And let's go to our scriptures here. Colossians 1:15 should be on the screen for you. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For by him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. All things were created by him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. You know, why don't we read that together again, just so it sinks down into your spirit, into your bones. Ready? You ready? 1, 2, 3. He is the image of the invisible God, the firstborn over all creation. For by him all things were created, things in heaven and on earth, visible and invisible, whether thrones or powers or rulers or authorities. All things were created by him and for him. He is before all things, and in him all things hold together. And he is the head of the body, the church. He is the beginning and the firstborn from among the dead, so that in everything he might have the supremacy. For God was pleased to have all his fullness dwell in him, and through him to reconcile to himself all things, whether things on earth or things in heaven, by making peace through his blood shed on the cross. This is a hymn, and you got to wonder what was the music to this hymn, because it's pretty complicated. I've been trying to work through it, like, what kind of melody would you put to this? And Paul begins this hymn and says that Jesus is the image of the invisible God. And what you have to understand is, back in ancient times, the rulers used images. They would set up their image in a location to establish their rule or their authority. If you saw somebody's statue up, it meant that they were the ruler over this location. And so in the Roman Empire, you had images of Caesar everywhere. I mean, there was images of Caesar on the money, on the coins, images on the vases and on the pots, in the theater, in the gymnasium, in the temples. I mean, you couldn't look in a direction and not see these images of Caesar. He was establishing his rule by placing these images everywhere. I mean, it's not unlike our society. See, we may not have an image of one person, but we have a lot of images. We're an image-based society, saturated with different competing images that want to move us. The purpose is to move us to do certain things. I remember growing up, and I used to love Thursdays. Every other Thursday, not every Thursday, but every other Thursday, because we would go grocery shopping. We would go grocery shopping. I wasn't excited about the groceries. I wasn't excited about some Captain Crunch, some oatmeal or some lettuce. And I don't think anybody's ever excited about lettuce. But I was excited because on the way back, we would drive up the street and we'd look up and see this big yellow M. And that big yellow M just captivated us. I mean, our heart rate just started fluctuating, and our mouths started salivating, and we just couldn't help but say, "Mom, can we go to McDonald's?" That image evoked a response. And there are images in our society today that they want to evoke a response from us. They want to get us to buy certain things. They want to get us to vote for certain people. They want to get us to not vote. They want to get us really, really busy so that we don't have time for our families, don't have time for friendship and community. These images are placed everywhere. I want you to take some time, grab somebody next to you, maybe one or two people, and discuss what are the popular images in our culture today that move us or that want to move us. What are the popular images in our culture today? I'm going to give you about 1 to 2 minutes. Okay. So Paul in this passage, he begins off and he says that Christ is the image of the invisible God. The image of the invisible God. What does he mean by that? He uses this word, icon. An icon, we use this word all the time, and it means image. Certain celebrities, certain people are icons. And it means that they stand for something. You think about Bill Gates, what do you think about? Money. Microsoft. We think about Steve Jobs, what do you think about? Apple. When you think about Ronald McDonald, who do you think about? And so these are icons. And so Jesus is the image or the icon of the invisible God. And there's two ideas that go along with this concept of an image. The idea of representation. Jesus represents who God is, and he has a likeness to God, but it's more than just a likeness. Like yesterday we had a barbecue at the apartments we stay in, and one rib on the grill kind of looked like the other rib, and that was kind of an accidental resemblance. And the other day I was hiking and I saw this one tree that resembled this other tree, and it wasn't purposeful and intentional. This word icon is purposeful. It's intentional. It means the same thing as if I take the image of a ruler and I stamp it on a coin, or how a child looks like their parents. There's a connection there. It means an image that's derived from a prototype. And so what he's saying is that Jesus is the exact reproduction of the Father.